Om Akhandamandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanam Shalakaya Chakshurumiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahm Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, this night is Shivaratri. So, this is the day preceding Shivaratri. So, something about Shiva is the right place to talk about. Couple of things. One is, in our parampara, there is a beautiful mantra which we use, which you can also use, and that is what is known as the Shiva panchaksara. Shiva panchaksara, which means 5 letters of Shiva. According to all the traditional texts of the Nath Sampradaya, as well as the South Indian Shaivat literature and Kashmir Shaivism in the north, Namah Shivaya, the Shiva Panchakshara, is a very important mantra. Even though it has panchaksharas only, 5 letters, like other mantras, you add a pranava in the beginning. So it becomes Om Namah Shivaya. The Shiva Samhita, the Shiva Purana, and the Tirumanthiram of Tirumular in the south talk about the importance of the panchaksara, both external and internal, and how there is a school of thought which thinks that this panchakshara is sufficient to raise your consciousness to higher levels and make you realize who you actually are, as opposed to who you think you are. So this is the Shiva Panchakshara. Now, since I mentioned Tirumular and the Tirumanthiram, I'm sure there are many people who don't know what I'm talking about. Some know, I know, some people know. In Tamil Nadu in the south, not Kerala, Tamil Nadu in the south, some people who are interested in spiritual matters are quite familiar with the name of Tirumular and Tirumanthiram. It is said that the great sage Agastya came away from the Himalayas and headed south. And he didn't go back. I think he liked south and stuck there. Anyway, I don't think Agastya had any likes and dislikes, but anyway. So he came to the south and he settled down. So, one of his disciples, I forget the name, one of his disciples, prominent disciples, followed him after some time. Finding that Agastya has not returned, he thought, I will also go to the south and see where this man is, where is my Guru. So he came. On the way, there was a little forest and there was a shepherd community living close by. So he saw a very touching scene. He saw that the shepherd from the village who had brought in the sheep for grazing had died suddenly. Maybe it was a heart attack, we don't know. Suddenly he collapsed and he died. And he saw a very touching scene that the sheep were standing around the body, dead body, and shedding tears. And I don't know how they shed tears, but anyway, they were very sad and they were shedding tears. Have you anybody seen a sheep cry? I don't know. But anyway, they were very sad and shedding tears. And in fact, when a sheep even is happy and says, bah, it sounds like crying. So anyway, so Tirumular, his original name was, I forget. So he saw this and he was very touched. So he thought, I must assuage the grief of these poor fellows, these sheep. So being a great yogi, also a disciple of the great Agastya, he left his body in the hollow of a tree trunk, came out in his subtle body, Shushma Sarira, and entered the body of the shepherd whose Shushma had left temporarily. And then when he got up and the sheep became very happy, so he took them around grazing. He thought in the evening when they are a little more kind of controlled and have come to terms, then I will come out and pick up my own body and go back. So the whole day they grazed the sheep, and in the evening he came back and he found that some people from the village had come and found a dead body in the hollow of a tree. They burnt it. We waited for some time, nobody appeared, so they cremated it. It was a stranger's body. He came back. It's time to leave the sheep and go. There is no body there, it's gone. So he became permanently stuck to the shepherd's body. Now in Tamil, shepherd is called a moolar. So Tiru is like Shri. When you say Shri in Sanskrit or Hindi, Shri or Ji, J-I-G. The Tamil word is Tiru. So what happened? Then he went back to the village. There's no other way. So he went back to the village with the sheep. And his wife came out to welcome him. I don't know what happened. Probably he asked for food and instead of dal roti, she gave sambar and rice. And he must say, what is this? And then she found that this man was talking in a strange language. And singing some verses, so they called all the priests and wise men of the village. They said, hey, he's singing the Upanishads and the Vedas and things like that. So what's happened? So they named him Tirumular, Sri Shepherd. And the Tirumanthiram is the classic work written by Tirumular. Tiru, again I explained to you, means Sri. And mantram in Tamil will become manthiram. So it's basically about the great mantra, the Shiva panchaksara. Om Maha Shivaratri. He has gone into details of explaining the different centers, the chakras, like we learnt in Kriya. The other texts also, I'm just giving you an example. And the Shushumna Nadi, and the Sahasrara, beautiful descriptions, and how to chant the Namah Shivaya in different centers. And as he says, to reach the feet of Shiva, to hug the image of the Linga of Shiva until you disappear and only Shiva remains. This is how he puts it. So, essentially, to completely surrender to Shiva, or let's say to Narayana, whoever, whatever, means you have to go. If you don't go, then what is the surrender? So it begins with surrendering. There are two entities, that who you seek and who the seeker is. When it's surrendered and totally absorbed, the seeker disappears because he figures out, he or she, that from the beginning there was no seeker, there was only what was sought. Only reality was that. This is a temporary aberration, like a bubble on the surface of flowing water. Kabir Das puts it very nicely. He says, पानी केरा बुड़बुड़ा अस मनुष्य की जात देखत ही छिप जाएगा जो तारा परवात. Human identity, temporary identity. Look at thousands of years of civilization. Where are we? Like when the water flows, bubbles are formed. The water of life flows, the bubble is formed. Now this little bubble reflects the whole world on it. And if it has a personality, it might think I am the whole world because everything is reflected in it. We don't know. Probably it doesn't. And then, gone. Kabir said it's like the light of the tara, of the star. Tara Prabhat, that means so 1 second is there, it's gone, the next tinkle, tinkle. How I wonder what you are. Even though it's a nursery rhyme, it's so lofty. So, Tirumanthiram is all about how to first realize, recognize that you are Shivam in reality, and see how to remove the veils and the coverings so that you don't exist after some time and only the Shivam exists. But now for the surrender in the beginning, you need a lot of devotion to do that. So therefore Tirumanthiram is also a great book of devotion. He sings praises of Shiva. He then refers to the Tandava Nrita of Shiva, where it says, after all creation is all kind of settling down, you then come and do your funny dance. Tamil like, with your leg lifted high up. We see only the leg lifted high up. And you bring the heavens and the earth down. And then this Tandava destroys the whole world begins to shiver and crumble and gone. And there is only the Shiva. That's why there is this, it's not really true, but there is this superstition that you should not worship Nataraja in the house because it's the dance of distraction. Well, it's the dance of distraction of ignorance, the dance of distraction of what you don't need. So, actually it's good, some people don't like to keep Nataraja. I get many Natarajas as gifts. Some astrologers say, not good. अरे बाबा जी को ही दे देंगे कोई from. So I have many Natarajas. So, nothing has happened to me anyway. So this dance of Shiva, which is all, I'm just taking out parts of Tirumanthiram. This dance of Shiva is depicted as a complete turning around, which means it's like all your concepts that you had are broken to pieces. And there's something new emerging. And that new is the reality of Shivam. The all-pervading Isha, Ishvara, is none other than the Supreme Shiva. You see how the personality is brought out even in the old Puranas. Right? The gods are fighting among themselves. Then they say, let's go and ask this guy, Shiva. He's sitting in Kailash happily. And they go and say that this is what, cool down. And here is a person, here is a being or a deity, beautifully visualized, who desire cannot touch. Why? Because he is the center of all desire. Like Yajnavalkya said in the Brihadaranyaka to his wife Maitri, "Oh Maitri, when you desire for something, you're actually desiring the self. You don't know it, but you're only looking for the self. That's your desire. Mistakenly you think you desire for me or for your children, but it's for the self." So this, so where did I come here? Suddenly to Brihad Yajnavalkya. Shiva, that I know. Okay, doesn't matter. So, when this is realized, then the journey towards Shiva begins. What Shiva actually is. There are two things. One is Shankara, which is the figurative description of Shiva, with the snake and the moon and so on. It's a perfect representation of a yogi. Eyes are closed, the third eye is open in meditation. One representation. But in ultimate sense, it's the all-pervading Ishvara. And the intermediate is the Shivlinga. Linga has no form except like a pillar. It has no, they say that the Linga has no beginning and no end. There's stories in Puranas of people trying to find the end of the Linga and digging and can't find it anywhere. Then someone flies up to find out where it goes, but can't find it. Comes back and says, this is immeasurable. Immeasurable. It's just a symbol that it is immeasurable. It's the pillar that holds up the universe. You see, without a pillar you can't hold up. Even in modern structures, you need. So, and usually Linga is presented as Linga Yoni. You go to any temple and see the Linga, there's a Yoni at the bottom. That is Shakti. The energy that resides in the Muladhara is the Yoni, and the Linga that sits on it is the Shiva. If you read the Tirumanthiram, luckily now you can also get English translations. The Ramakrishna Mission has a very good translation in English by Swami Tapasyananda, who also happens to be my Upaguru in some way. Namah Shivaya. So this Shivam, or the supreme all-pervading reality, is the same reality described in the Upanishads. When the Ishavashyam Upanishad says, Ishavashyamidam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat. Talking about the same Ishvara. Isha. Nothing to do with any foundations. So, it's ancient. So the ancient texts, including the Tirumanthiram, say that it's sufficient to use the Shiva Panchaksaras, even if you don't have anything else, to be able to reach the reality called Shivam, who resides nowhere else but in your own heart or in your Sahasrara. The yogis say Sahasrara, the devotees say heart. It's okay. What you should understand that even if it's Sahasrara, it's to do with the feeling, the basic feeling of I am. We discussed that yesterday. I am, I exist, is not an intellectual concept. I know it. I mean, it's my feeling. Nobody has to say, I can prove to you that you exist. You say, why do you want to prove? I know I exist. It's a feeling. So feeling is very important to find out this feeling, to explore this feeling. There should be that fire of desire to reach there. Now the fortunate and sometimes for most people unfortunate thing is fire burns everything else away. So when everything else is burnt, all that remains is Shiva. Which is why when you depict Shiva, always ashes. Shiva is depicted as, all other people need lot of decoration, adambara. In Shiva, you need only 2 bilva leaves and some water. In a Shiva Linga, where there is a Shiva temple, you see that there is only water, abhisheka going on, nothing else is required. The bilva leaves are the offering. So bilva leaves look like the heart. It's an offering. Nothing else is required. So if somebody is ready for it, then everything else becomes reduced to ashes. Or one sees that it will ultimately be reduced to ashes, at least that much. I love to go to Banaras, apart from other things, go and sit quietly in the Manikarnika Ghat. If our Satsang allows to sit alone, you sit there and then you think of Shiva, Every day, 100 minimum dead bodies come. I know Saumya lives in Banaras. I don't think she goes to Manikarnika. You see the dead bodies coming. And then you think, oh my God, this is my end too. People, usually we don't think. And then what are they reduced to? As the Upanishad says, bhasma antam shariram becomes bhasma. So you see all Shaivites with this bhasma, a symbol that I am looking for you, Shiva. Everything else is ashes. So people go to Banaras because they say Shiva comes at night and whispers the mantra, Om Shiva. Maybe nobody is coming, but you know the whole concept. So, the ultimate meaning of Namah Shivaya, according to the text, is Shivoham. Om Namah Shivaya is the mantra. Inner meaning is Shivoham, Shivoham. I am Shivam, I am Shivam. I am the all-pervading Supreme Reality. Somehow I have been conditioned. I need to break through the condition. So for me, there are many reasons why Shivaratri is celebrated. For me, it is a celebration of one's new birth. one realizes that one is not the limited thing which you thought one was, but Shivam. How more auspicious can it be? Because in the Sanskrit dictionary, the other meaning of the word Shivam is auspiciousness. The other word is Anandam, substitute word, synonym. So, for me, for us, Shivaratri should be a new awakening. When you wake up from that Shivaratri the next day, you should come out with complete hope that I am the unlimited. Well, now I am limited, I can't walk on the Ganga, but in true essence, I am that supreme reality. That's why in the Nirvana Shataka, when you reach Nirvana, Adi Shankara sang, Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham, Shivoham. I am of the nature of Chit, which is consciousness, and Ananda. I am Shivam, I am Shivam. Okay. Having said that, is there a practical application for Namah Shivaya? Yes, that also is there. When you meditate, you can just sit down and chant Om Namah Shivaya. Some schools have taught that you should think of each letter of the panchaksara in the centers. Muladhara. So, even though the mantra is Om Namah Shivaya, the chanting becomes Namah Shivaya Om. Because you start with Na for Muladhara, Ma for Swadhisthana, Shi for Manipura. Manipura is also where she sits. Anyway, she, this is she. She. Then Va, yeah, fire over Om. So when you chant down, it is Om Namah Shivaya also. When you chant up, it is Namah Shivaya Om. No, when you chant downwards, it is Om Vaya Namah Shi. Shivaya Namah Om. So, the people who follow the school of Shaivite school, they use the panchaksara for awakening the Shakti, which moves towards Shivam. And when the ecstasy of meeting of Shiva and Shakti is celebrated in the Saundarya Lahari. Saundarya Lahari means the ecstasy of beauty. So now, we have a great mantra that comes to us from the Vedas and the Agamas, both, which many people know, it's chanted. Some people think it's good to avoid accidents or to die untimely deaths and so on. Well, if you have faith, fine. But the meaning of the mantra, of the great Maha Mrityunjaya mantra, Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamratat. Generally people think it's to save you from death, but the mantra says that you get moksha, so you realize that you never die. That is, not to say physical body will die anyway. Nachiketas in the Kathopanishad goes to Yama and asks him, what is the end of death? How does death end? How does the human body end? Can you teach me something by which I can remain immortal? So Yama, the Lord of Death, teaches him, saying, the human body will die, it can never be immortal. But you will discover that you are actually deathless. This is immortality. So the Maha Mrityunjaya mantra describes so the mantra describes Om Prayambakam, Om Pranava. Okay, there's no mantra, hardly any mantra without Pranava. Trayambakam, the one with three eyes. 1, 2, 3. Yajamahe, I do my yajna before you. I invoke you, whose essential nature is Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam, great fragrance and immeasurable pushti, strength, energy. Then the next one is very interesting. Urvarukamiva bandhanan, like the pumpkin, the kaddu, big pumpkin, which when it becomes fully ripe, disattaches itself forever from the stem. In the same way, Muktyor Mukshiyama Amritat, may I get freedom from that bondage of the stem, like the fully ripe pumpkin falls away from the stem. May I also be free of this bondage and attain moksha. While it's also considered mantra to be chanted against accidents and dangers and so on, right? But the true meaning is forever, finally free me from this bondage so that I am free forever. Muktiyama Amritat. This is the Maha Mrityunjaya mantra. So when you chant it, today night we'll be chanting. Think about this. So that ultimately we touch that which is real and not get stuck only with that which is not. So that we follow the ancient Vedic dictum, Asato ma sadgamaya, Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, Mrityor ma amritam gamaya. So Mrityor ma amritam gamaya. Amrita is not what you eat as prasad, that's also nice amrit. Or not the fruit amrit, but amrita. In Sanskrit, when you put an a before a word, it becomes negative. Mrityu is death, amrita. So, mrityorma. Amritam gamaya. So may I go from darkness to light. May I go from the unreal to the real. May I be taken from death to deathlessness. So this is the thing we should be thinking of when we celebrate our Shivaratri and light the fire. Consider the fire to be the fire in Shiva's hands when he does the Tandava Nrita, or when he does the dance. And according to the scriptures, there is no dancer, male or female, superior to Shiva. So therefore he is called Nataraja, the Lord of the dance, the king of all dances, which means the one who dances the whole dance of creation and destroys it with another dance. So if you can see the whole nature as that interesting dance and center yourself on Shiva, who is the dancer, then you learn to dance through the difficulties of life and remain centered in Shiva. Then you realize the meaning of the word, the Nirvana Shataka, Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham, Shivoham. That is the true message of Shivaratri. The rest, we can have another satsang in the evening. Enough. Brahmanandam Paramasugadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gaganasadarsham Tattvamasyaadilaksham Yekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum. Om Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Free.